Namaste, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being in this practice with me. This week, as we sit and we start the intro of the class, I wanted to tell you, this week I'm sharing a principle that is the second one of a piece of the philosophy that it's from the second portion of the sutras, doesn't matter, called the kleshas. And this second principle, last week I've been working a lot in all my meditations and classes on the first one, and this one, the second one, is related to what we usually translate as ego. So the word that we use for that is asmita, and like I said, it comes from the philosophy, and it is an opportunity. I'm going to read a little bit about it, but it's an opportunity to check in and see how sometimes we get attached or cling to the labels that we were put by our families, or the labels that we actually feel comfortable with, but sometimes that we get too clingy towards, and then they create suffering, or they bring suffering in our lives. So I want to share a little bit. So asmita, sometimes translated as ego or false identification, is or happens when you identify with the parts of yourself that change. Everything from your mind to your body, appearance, or job title, instead of identifying with the quiet place within you that does not change, which is what we call the self, or our true essence. And that was the first of the principles that I worked last week. So when you mistakenly believe on some level that how you look or feel or what you do for a living, or even how nice or beat up of a car you drive has something to do with who you are, and that these things define you, instead of recognizing that your true self, who you are at your core, is unchanging. So we understand the self as, like I said, your true essence, and yoga teaches that this essence remains stable no matter what happens around you or to you, whether you feel connected with this part of you or far removed from it. The issue is that with this principle, asmita, or false identification, it's common for all of us to identify with the external qualities, right? Because this is how we see ourselves. So let's say, for example, I see myself as a yoga practitioner, or as a yoga teacher, as a mother, as a cook, as a person with a tattoo, etc., right? And so the idea, the work to do, is appreciating these things that we are, right? It's not that we are not, or that we don't have any ego, but the important part is that we recognize that even though those things help us engage with the world, they are not what our true essence is about, right? So we're going to try and work with this inspiration in the sense of trying to challenge ourselves to release a little bit of those identifications and keep them, like what some teachers say, more at the border of our skin, or more at the edge, and try to dive a little deeper into our true self with compassion, with gentleness, and with loving kindness. So closing the eyes and letting the palms rest on your lap, give yourself a moment to take a few breaths and feel the support. And even as you close your eyes and bring the attention a little deeper towards the heart center, towards the spiritual self, give yourself the opportunity to imagine yourself in a place or a memory that you associate with the feeling of being nurtured, comfortable, and supported. And as you visualize this place or memory, try to connect with that feeling of who you are at your core. How you feel at your most authentic self. And as we stay connected to this place or memory, an opportunity to release the attachments to perhaps our bodies, maybe our thoughts, and recognize with acceptance that there are inevitable changes in our bodies, in our minds, in our thoughts, in our emotions. But we have always the chance to stay connected and cultivate feelings of compassion and friendliness towards ourselves. The same way we imagine or we remember someone comforting us, we can do that with our own self by bringing those feelings and cultivating a relationship with our true essence. And sometimes we do that as we go out and get out in the green, sometimes by singing, sometimes by practicing yoga. So we find different ways to nurture our own self and connect deeply. Let the spine sit tall with the shoulders relaxed over the hips, softening the face, the eyelids. And as we bring the hands together and the thumbs to rest in front of the heart center, a chance to feel that connection to the spiritual heart, lifting the heart, the sternum into your hands. And from that center, from that true essence, an opportunity to set the intention for your practice today. Then if you choose to join me, we'll open with the Om sound one time, inhaling deeply through the nose, big exhale, then breathing in again. Keeping the breath fluid, invite the head to connect with the hands on the heart. Then slowly release the palms, lifting the head and opening the eyes. Welcome. Thank you everyone for being here. And we're going to move to the mat. Some of you joined in a little after. As you can see, my setting today is a little different if you joined me before in the past. I'm closer to a wall because we're going to use it a few times. So if you have something like a wall, it can be the back of a sofa or I don't know, a piece of furniture where you can get to. It doesn't have to be very big. So we'll use that a little bit. If not, no worries, we'll make it happen. And we are going to start by using our belt today. So if you have a strap or perhaps a scarf that you can make into a type of a belt, I'm going to ask you to make a loop. And this is how we are going to start. We are going to put both legs inside the belt when you get there. No worries, I'm going to wait. And we are going to start supine like when we take Shavasana. But once I have that belt inside my legs, I'm going to place it right at the middle space in between my knees and my hips. So it's like where the hamstrings and the quads are. We're going to work the quads quite a bit today. And I'm going to tighten that belt as much as I can. So my legs are going to be together. But if you have lower back pain or sensitivity in your lower back or any issues in your lumbars and stuff, then you're going to make the belt be hip distance apart and you open it a little wider, okay? If you're okay with tightening that belt a little closer, like I said, you'll do that as close as possible. And then we are going to first lie down on our backs. And we'll take a moment here just to first notice the body on your mat and release the leg bones, release the torso. And you'll just keep the arms alongside the torso like when we do the Shavasana shape. And we'll stay here for a breath or two. Notice any tingling, any pulsation, any sensations in the body. And then we'll slowly start activating our legs more by pressing into or breaking into the belt with your thighs, right, with your legs. And at the same time, I want you to try and start activating the quads into the belt as well. So we are going to activate those muscles, which are actually one of the biggest muscles in our bodies, and they pump a lot of blood throughout all our bodies, and they are related with our heart. So the more we activate those quads and we make them really strong and we lengthen them as well, we also create a lot of activation for the heart, okay, and the lungs. So from here, keeping my back as connected to the mat as I can, I'm going to break into the belt with my quads and with the sides, right into the sides of the belt, and I'm going to push through my heels out, and I'm going to try to not let my heels lift off the mat, okay? So we're going to do that for a few times. I feel my legs creating more heat and being more active. So I'm doing that, and if you can again, like I just said, but I'm going to try and lengthen my sacrum so I keep the lower back more connected to earth, okay? Breathing in, breathing out. And one more breath here. Good. Then I'm going to add, the legs are going to stay the same. I'm going to add my arms going up overhead. I'm just going to squeeze a little. So arms overhead. And then again, notice if your back is lifting a lot and see if you can release it down. Keep the legs active, breaking into that belt. And then hold opposite elbows and press the elbows away from your head. So we keep stretching and lengthening the sides. And I want you to imagine that your elbows are tall because you're lengthening from where the belt is up into those elbows. So the extension is coming all the way from the quads up into the very upper part of your body, okay? So again, I'm pushing through my heels, and I'm trying to lengthen through the lumbars for one more breath. And exhale. And then we'll move exactly as I am. I'm going to keep my pelvis and legs the same, but I'm going to slide towards the right with my elbows and my upper body, just a little, right? So I'm going as far as I can, sliding to the right side of my mat. And I'm going to try and breathe here deeply, feeling that opening in the left side. And see if you can give more attention to your left nostril and breathe a little bit more into that side. One more breath. And then slowly returning to the center. Reset your body there. And then extending again through the legs, breaking into that belt with the quads and trying to make them also heavy towards the earth. I'm going to change and I'm going to slide over to the left as far as I can go, keeping the elbows down on the floor or the mat. And I'm going to keep pushing through the heels, feeling the opening now on the right side of the body. And now I'm going to try and breathe mainly through the right nostril, or just feel the activation of that side a little more. One more breath. Good, and then slowly I'm going to return to the center. I'm going to release the arms down, bend your knees, and slowly with your hands take that belt out of where it is. We're going to use this belt again. I'm going to show you how. I have a carpet so it keeps moving. Okay, so now from here I'm going to use that same loop, and we're going to do a few more postures lying down, and then we'll move into standing. Okay, so from here I'm going to lie down, and if you have already the wall close by and you want to use it, it's actually a super good opportunity to use it. I'm going to do it. So I'm going to keep my left foot pushing into the mat through the center of the heel and the base of my toes. And I'm going to take the belt and put it all the way on the heel of my right foot, okay? So from here, we are going to take what we call Supta Padangustasana. I'm going upside down with the leg up, right? And I'm holding the loop that I have, so I can push the heel into the belt. And we are going to try and recreate what we did with the quads into the belt before. So I'm going to activate that quad into the back of the leg, but also I want to imagine that I'm pressing into the outer and inner edges of that leg. And we are going to breathe here for a few times. Now my left heel, I'm a little far, so I'm going to create more connection there on the wall. My left foot is really actively pushing into the wall or the base of your bed if you're doing that. And I'm trying to internally rotate that left leg. So the inseam of my left leg or pants, they are coming down into my mat, okay? Good, inhale here. And exhale. One more breath. Good. Now look at what I'm going to do next. So now I'm going to take the belt out. This is a little tricky. And I'm going to stay with my right leg. So I'm staying in the same leg. But this time I'm going to hook my belt outside that right heel. So instead of putting the belt over, you saw how I put it like from the side. I'm just hooking mostly the outer side of the heel. And what I'm going to do is hold it there. So I'm activating more of the outer ankle, let's say, into the belt. You'll see why we are doing this, okay? So I'm going to push on mostly onto that outer side. My left arm, you can keep it to the side or put it on your left hip. I keep pushing the left heel into the wall or baseboard, and then I'm going to start opening that right leg out to the side, okay? You can put a support under the leg if you want. I'm just using my elbow, but it doesn't really, it's not necessary to bring the leg all the way down, okay? I'm not bringing it down, I just forgot to put a block underneath. So if you want, you can put a pillow or something there. But what I'm doing here is to really use that reference of the belt outside the ankle to push into that side, okay? I'm still keeping the left leg heavy, pressing down onto the floor, pushing through the heel into the baseboard, and taking one breath. And release here. We stay for another breath and try to widen the abdomen. Try to move the stomach from right to left. Extending through the outer line of that right leg. And then slowly I'm going to bring it back to neutral. Now, before we move into the other side, now I'm going to put that, that loop on the inside of the heel. So now I'm going opposite of what I did before. You see how like I hooked it, but now I'm holding from the inside, okay? Now to show you the next thing, I will need to move, but we stay the same, pushing with that left foot into the baseboard or whatever it is that you have there. And now I'm going to activate the inside of that leg. And I'm going to move the leg only 10 inches or so towards the left. So I'm not going extremely far, just like I said, like 10 inches. And now what I'm going to try and do is to really ignite that inner leg all the way to the inner heel and feel that reference of the belt on that side to push into it, and you'll feel perhaps that opening in the IT band or that area or hamstring, okay? If you want, you can open the right arm to the side or just keep it there close to you. And we breathe a few times. I'm still making that left leg active by pushing into the wall and trying to turn the leg inwardly just a little, okay? So here what we've been doing is to activate both inner and outer leg, and that creates, like I said before, a lot of movement of the organs, I mean the blood, to flush our organs, okay? Good, then I'm coming back, slowly bending the knee, and I'm taking that belt out so I can put the right leg down. Take a moment, deep breath in, and deep breath out. Beautiful, we'll go on to the second side. We'll start from the beginning. So first, I'm keeping my right foot really active, pressing into the wall or whatever it is that you have there. And I'm going to put the loop the regular way. I'm hooking it inside the foot until I get to the heel. And then I'm going to push through the heel all the way up. And I'm activating both inner and outer leg. And I'm trying to make my left quad really active in the sense of imagining that I have that belt like I had before in the beginning. And I'm pressing or breaking into that second belt, let's say. Good. Right leg is active also by pressing down onto the mat. I'm trying to make less space in between my hamstring and the floor, if you can, and push through the center of the heel into the wall. Take another breath. Good. And then we'll go like what we did for the other leg, right? So then slowly I'm going to bend the knee. I'm taking my loop out, and now I'm going to put it in the outside of my heel. It's a little bit of a engineering the movement, but I'm hooking it, right? It's still like around my heel, but it's mostly on the left side now. And I'm going to first push there, making sure that I can hold the belt and it's not falling off. And then I'm going to start opening that left leg out to the side. If you have a pillow and you want to put it, or like in my case, there is a wall there, I could be touching the wall. I'm a little far, but I could be touching it. So I have there a little bit of extra support so I can broaden my abdomen without fighting the leg going down. And now I'm really pushing into that outer edge of that foot, so I really feel the sensation of the belt on that outer side. And I'm going to then remind myself that I want to activate my right leg as well. Push the heel into the wall, press through the base of your toes, spreading the toes. Take another breath here, trying to widen the stomach towards the right. And then I'm slowly bringing that leg back up. Nice, let's do the last side. So now I'm moving my belt so it's inside, right? So I'm holding it into the inside of that left ankle, and I'm going to push, push, push again. And now I feel that reference on the inside. Left arm is to the side, and I'm going to slowly, like I said before, like 10 inches, I'm going to move that leg towards the right. And I'm letting my left hip lift off the mat, right? But at the same time, I'm trying to now activate that left outer line, right, in the leg, and push, push, push through the heel again. and keep making my right leg active and internally rotating it towards the floor or the mat on the inside. See again if you can keep the abdomen expanding for one more breath or two. Good, and then slowly return, bend that knee and take that belt out, extend that leg, take a breath. Good, then inhale, arms overhead, bend both your knees. When you're ready, roll over to the side and we will come up to sitting. Good, now we are going to use the belt again. I don't want to forget. Good. So now what we are going to do is that we are going to use blocks and blanket. Then we'll use the belt again. So I'm going to show you what we are going to do from here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to show you from behind and then I'll switch so you can see the rest, right? But I'm going to put the block in between my ankles so I can sit on top of it. And also I'm going to use my blanket right behind my knees. So I have double support. One is my folded blanket behind the knees, and the other one is the block to sit on top, okay? If you feel like you don't need to put the block and you are good just with like the blanket behind the knees, you place it as close to the knees as you can, and then you sit back. But I think this one with the block is really good, okay? So we are going to do that. We are going to sit there and let the palms rest on the lap for a moment, relaxing the shoulders down. Just take a couple of deep breaths here. I'm going to reset that block like I showed you guys. And I'm going to sit there. Okay. Good. So we relax the shoulders. We draw the navel up towards the nose. And as we are sitting in this variation of what we call virasana, I want you to try and check your feet and see if they are dropping out or dropping in. So I want to really accentuate the fact that it's important to have the feet as straight as you can, pointing back, so we don't create like funky things for the knees. So we try to do that, and we try to hug the outer shins into the inner shins as much as you can, okay? We're going to try and keep that. So what I'm doing here is firming my hips into one another, firming my outer shins into the inner shins, and keeping that, I'm going to send the arms in front. Beautiful. Lace your fingers and press your palms away from you. Nice. Now, again, notice if you're creating an arch in the lower back. I'm exaggerating, but you want to bring the abdomen in and draw the pelvic floor up towards the chest, right? So we create a combination there of the core working as we activate the legs. Then let's bring the arms up overhead. Push through the base of your palms, your index fingers, lengthen the sides, and feel the stretch in the sides of the body. Inhale, exhale. Try to bring your ribs gently down so they are not popping out too much. And then exhale and release through the arms. Very nice. Now we are going to take the block and the blanket out, and we are going to use our belts again. This is a little bit of a tricky shape that we're going to do. Not too tricky, but a little different. So now I'm going to use that belt again, and look at what I'm going to do. I'm going to make myself walk inside the belt, and then I'm going to come back down to where I was kneeling. And I'm going to put that belt close to my ankle so I can close it as much as possible and make my heels be as close to each other as they can, okay? Of course, at any moment that you need to change this or modify it or get out, you get out. So what I'm doing is to try to put the inner ankles as close as I can. I'm pulling from that tail of the belt. And then the game will be that making that belt stay as taut as I can, I'm going to tuck my toes. I'm using my fingers to spread the toes as much as possible. And then I'm going to sit on my heels. And you will see how the belt will help the heels not move away from each other. So first try to find that. I'm making it a little tighter for me. And then I'm sitting. This is a bit of a challenge. So I'm going to show you a modification that will make it feel a little less uncomfortable. With the block, if you need, you're going to put it right on top of your heels, and then you can put your sitting bones on top of that block. It looks a little bit more fancy, but it's actually less demanding than the other shape. And this is extremely good to activate that pumping action of the blood into the legs, the pelvis, and up, okay? So we are going to try and keep this, or this other version for a moment, sitting onto your heels, spreading the toes, and again, drawing the pelvic floor up without popping the ribs out, rolling the shoulders back. Take a breath here, relax the hands onto your thighs. Two more breaths, if you can. Of course, if you cannot, you untuck the toes, untuck the toes, and then you let go for a moment, okay? Last breath here, relaxing the jaws. Good, and then slowly we bring our hands in front, and we untuck the toes so we can move a little bit. And with your hands, you're going to make that loop a little wider again. And now I'm going to change where it's going to go. So I'm going to lift myself a little for a moment, and I'm going to widen that so I can bring that belt again up so it's in between my thighs again, like we did in the very beginning, okay? So again, I'm putting my belt, like you can see, it's, well, today I have a pen that it's like colorful, but it's like in between the knee and the hip, okay? So I'm there, and once I got to have that, I'm going to come to the tabletop. I'll wait for you guys, no worries. And I'm going to start setting up for downward facing dog with the belt, and I'll tell you a few things when we get there, okay? So I'm going to put my hands in a way like we usually do, that it's like spinning the fingertips out a little. So the index fingers are pointing more towards the top of your mat. I'm going to move my knees a few inches behind my hips, and I'm going to make a point on pressing or breaking into my belt as I start lifting up into the downward facing dog. So once I get there, take a moment to pedal your feet a few times. You won't be able to go too far because of the belt. And then once you settle in this down dog slowly, push through the hands, lift into the sides of your body, making your sacrum the tallest or the highest point in your shape, releasing the head and the neck, letting the contents of the brain drop towards the earth as you make your coccyx the apex of this shape, okay? So those are the basics. We want to press through the base of the fingers and the thumbs, and we want to push into the center of the heels towards earth as we lift the inner arches as much as we can. Now break into the belt with your thighs and make your quads also push into the belt, okay? As much as you can. We are activating that so we keep that movement and that action towards the heart. Feel the chest broad, external rotation in the upper arms. Give yourself another breath. And then slowly walk your hands towards your feet. Keep the belt where it is. If you need to bend the knees a little. Drop the torso over the legs. And then keep the action of breaking into the belt with your thighs, And once you reset that, see if you can lift the inner arches again, pressing to the center of the heels, the base of your big toes and pinkies. And from there, bring your hands onto your hips and slowly lengthen the spine to come up to standing. Yay, we did it. Good. We are going to keep the belt where it is. I'm just moving myself a little bit so you can see me closer. And keeping this, I'm going to stay with that, and I'm going to keep breaking into the belt. I'm taking Tadasana, or what we call Samastitihi, and I'm going to create a lot of power from the ground up. Press into, again, the base of your toes. Lift the toes and spread them out as much as you can. Keep that, press into the center of your heels. And then I want you to feel the power of that breaking into the belt that you're doing as you lengthen the sacrum down. So I'm creating a lot of lift from my legs up, and I want you to lengthen those lumbars. Sometimes they tend to go out, so I'm showing it tends to go like that. See if you can send the sacrum and the coccyx down. And we're going to inhale, arms up overhead. Keep the arms parallel to each other with the palms facing into one another. And I want you to lift those arms, but thinking that the arms start where your belt is. So from there, we are lifting into the sides of the body. We are lifting into the armpits. From there into the elbows, and from the elbows up into the wrists, up into the fingernails, and all the way up towards the ceiling. Okay, so press into the base, like I said, big toe, pinky, center of the heels. From there, lift into the inner arches, inner shins, inner knees, all the way to the pelvis, sacrum down. And from the belt, you lengthen the arms up. Good, ribs in. And then exhale and release from here. Beautiful. Okay, super. Now we are going to keep this belt as it is, and I'm going to add a block. And the block will go in between my knees. Today it's like a lot of props, okay? So in between my knees. And now I'm gonna go sideways again so you can see what we are doing from here. So I'm keeping my quads breaking into the belt, and I'm keeping that block in between my knees. It can be like this, or you can put it also, if you want, like this way, a little taller, so you feel more of the inner thighs pressing into that block, okay? Either or. Good. From here, again, breaking into that belt, and now I'm adding that pressure into the inner knees. I'm going to take Utkatasana. So it's the chair shape. I'm going to try and go as low as I can, of course, at your ability, squeezing the inner thighs or the inner knees into the block, and at the same time, pressing the quads into your belt. See if you can break into the belt. Draw the belly up, open up through the chest. Take another breath, see if you can go a little deeper. Then inhale. And exhale. Nice. Now I'm going to take my block, and if you have the space of a wall, we are going to repeat this at a wall. If you don't have the wall, you're going to do the same without the wall, okay? So what I'm going to do here is, again, put my block in between my knees. This time I have the wall behind me. So I'm going to sit into that chair shape. I hope I don't fall. And I'm going to sit here, so I have the support of the wall behind me. And I'm going to keep squeezing with my inner knees into the block and with my thighs into the belt. So I'm pushing my quads into the belt, okay? Stay here. If you can, inhale, bring the arms overhead. And the back of the skull is also connected to your wall, if you have that wall there. And see if you can bring the abdomen towards the wall, so there's less arching in the lower back. If not, you're repeating the same thing like we did before without the wall. Good, then push, come up, release the arms, and get yourself out of the wall. Ha! Good, take the block, And then put it to the side. Good. I'm going to take that belt out. Nice. Good. And now, before going back into the shapes, I'm going to use the wall for a little bit of support. You don't have to use it if you don't need, but I'm going to step onto my right foot. I'm going to stand tall, and I'm going to bend my left knee and catch the left foot. We know this because many times, I think we do it in different ways, right? So what I'm trying to do is, I want you to imagine that you have a little seed behind your knee, right, in between the two parts of your leg, and you want to really squeeze it very tight, okay? So besides doing that, what I'm going to try and do is to make the quad move back towards my bones, and at the same time, I'm going to try and make my sacrum move in and down. Because sometimes when we do this shape, we go like this, right? This is a different shape. I want the lower abdomen to lift, the back of the knee to squeeze into the calf, right? Into the hamstring into the calf. And I want the sacrum to move down to the earth. So we stay here. If you don't need the support, don't use it. If you have the wall and you want it, breathing in and out. One more breath. Lengthen that quad down and press it into your bones. Sacrum long. And then we slowly release, shake it a little, and we'll switch sides. Good. Now I'm stepping onto my left foot. If you have the support and you want to use it there. And then I'm going to imagine again, now I put my little seed behind the right knee. I'm going to bend there, I'm going to catch that foot. Nice, good. Now I'm trying to bring the heel towards my butt, but that's not like the main thing, right? That's because I'm pressing into the back of my knee. And if this feels like it's too compressive for your knee, if you have issues going on, I forgot to say on the other side, you can always put a little piece of a cloth or a towel behind your knee, so there's more space in between those two spaces and it gives more release into the knee. Okay, and now as I'm standing, my standing foot is very active. I'm trying to lift my inner arch, even if you cannot see it much because I have flat feet, but you want to really lift into that inner arch by pressing into the big toe and the center of the heel. And then I'm sending that right quad back and the sacrum down. And I'm drawing the lower abdomen up towards the chest. Take a few breaths. One more. And then slowly release and shake it a little. Beautiful. Okay. If you have support, like I said, from a baseboard, you're going to go there to use it. If you don't, you're going to do a downward facing dog without that. Now I want you to keep your blocks close by so we can use them after. But first, we will start with coming into a down dog with my heels elevated at the baseboard. I happen to have a baseboard here, so I'm just leaning my heels into the top of that baseboard. And from there, I'm creating again my downward facing dog. And I'm pushing with my heels into that baseboard. And I'm also having an opportunity to spread my toes and press into the base of the big toe and pinky. Then from there, I'm pushing the mat away. I'm drawing the navel up, ribs down, relaxing the head, and taking just a couple of breaths. And I want you to imagine that you have that belt that we put in the beginning in between the thighs. So break into that imaginary belt by hugging those muscles into the bones in the sides and back. And then bend your knees just a little bit and reconnect the muscles to the bones, sending the sacrum up. Then draw the navel in again and re-extend the legs, keeping the hips high. One more breath. Good, and then walk the feet to the hands. Put the hands onto the hips, press into the feet. Remember, we are lifting inner arches as much as we can, and we come all the way up, standing tall. Nice, good. Now I'm going to work with my blocks. I'm going to keep them tall towards the midway, my mat. And I'm going to start with my left heel in at the baseboard. If you have one, you're going to use it. Heel in and the toes a little bit out. If you have, like I said, the back of a bed or something like that, you can use it. If not, nothing. And I'm going to, as I do that, so my heel is onto the baseboard, toes out, foot out. I'm going to bring my right leg forward. Okay, so this looks like when we do a lunge, but I have my heel at the wall. Okay, good. Now from here, my blocks are framing the front foot, and I'm going to start with my hands onto my hips. First that, we are going to press into that baseboard with the outer edge of your back heel, and I'm going to again create my inner arch, lifting, I don't know if you can see, but into that front foot. I'm pushing into the big toe, trying to spread my toes and lifting like a tent into that inner arch, okay? Good, then from there, sending the sacrum down, bringing that left quad into the back of the leg. I'm going to send arms up, lengthen through the sides, firm your hips into one another, keep lengthening, and I want you to even think of moving the lumbars away from your sacrum. So you're lifting the back of your body also, and from there we lengthen, lengthen, lengthen through the trunk. And now I want you to think of your heart moving away and off your belly. So extend, extend, extend. Send your right hip in and back. And then you're going to bring your hands to the tall blocks. Nice. Then from here again, I'm lifting through the abdomen and moving my heart forward, away from my belly. Send the right hip to the wall that you have behind you or the prop or furniture. And stay here for a moment. Keep lifting through the inner right arch. And if you tend to be super rounded in the upper back, I would stay here. If you are okay with keeping that heart moving forward away from the belly without rounding, you can maybe drop the blocks attached like one level and then keep lengthening and folding over the leg. Keep the right hip moving into the body, drawing the lower abdomen in, lengthening through the spine, and folding over that front leg. Back heel pushing down into the baseboard. Then we slowly lengthen up to the half lift again. Bring your hands to your hips, push into your feet to come up. Good, and release. Nice, bring the back foot forward and we'll switch into the second side. Now I'm going to put my right outer heel to the wall or the baseboard, toes out, it's in a diagonal like when we do warrior one, and I have my left leg forward, and this time I'm putting again the tall blocks to frame that foot, okay? Good, now from here, I'm setting up. Good, now I'm going to make sure that I'm really able to press into the outer edge of my back heel. I'm lifting that inner arch in my left foot. You cannot see it because it's facing the other way, but I'm trying to really push into the base of my big toe. You see it's a little lifted, and I'm lifting into the inner arch, okay? Good, from here, now firm the hips into one another, draw the navel up, send the arms up. From the base of your hips, you're lifting those arms. Lift the lower back away from your sacrum, sacrum down. Draw the abdomen up and let's start moving towards the fold. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Move the heart off your belly, forward, 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 forward. And then you release the hands into the tall blocks. Once you get there, we don't get lazy, we keep working. Left hip moves back to the wall or the prop behind you. Lift through the inner arches, press into the left big toe. It will tend to become light. Push it down. Draw the belly in, lengthen the heart, and take a couple of breaths. And if you feel again like the spine can stay tall, long, and lengthening the heart forward away from your belly, you can maybe lower the blocks and move a little further down. Press into that left big toe. Hug those quads into your bones. Send the left hip back. One more breath. Good. Then slowly coming back to the half lift. Draw the abdomen in, lengthen the heart. Send that left hip back. Firm both hips into one another. Put the hands onto your hips and slowly lift up. Nice. Let's bring that back leg forward. Release the hands. Let's take a deep inhalation through the nose. And exhale. Very nice. Okay. We'll use our wall again if you have the props. If not, I'll show you how to do this different, okay? So this, what we're going to do now with the wall is a modification of this shape that we did before, holding the foot in a different way, right? A little bit more intense. So if you don't have a wall, you're going to repeat that one. If you do have a place where you can put your leg, what I'm going to do is add a blanket right at the baseboard or right at that place where I have a furniture piece that helps me do the shape. And then I'm going to start on this side so you can see it better with my left knee coming all the way to the baseboard, and I'm lifting the shin and the foot into the wall. Okay, so that's what we are going to be doing for a little bit. And then I'm going to bring the right leg in front, like a lunging posture, and I'm going to keep my blocks close by because they're going to be very helpful. Okay, so I'm trying to keep, like I said, the knee as close to the baseboard as I can. Then I'm setting the shin into the wall, and this is already a challenging place to be. So if you need to be a little further, like I'm showing with the blocks or any support in front, you're going to do that and stay here as much as possible, pressing that knee towards the baseboard, okay? The standing version, you can do that one instead. If not, in this one, we're going to stay for a little bit. And what we want to create is slowly and gradually the action of moving the sitting bones back towards the wall. That will pull more into that quad, which is what we're working a lot today. So you want to make sure that you go gradually towards the wall without going too far, okay? Because this takes time. So from here, I'm just trying to bring those sitting bones back. I'm still trying to make my sacrum go down so there's less arching in the lower back. And I'm going to breathe a few times. Maybe, I don't know all of you and I cannot see you really closely, but maybe for some of you, it's fairly easy to be like at the wall and the back is closer. So if that is happening, I'm jealous, but if that is happening, you want to try and gradually like make both sitting bones get closer and the abdomen move into the wall. So the lower back is not doing a big back bend, okay? And you could put the hands on top of your thigh instead of the blocks. Take a deep breath. One more breath here. Good, and then slowly, actually, before we get out, wait, don't get out, don't get out. We are going to do one more thing before we switch sides. So now I'm going to add something that is really good for the body, and we didn't do a lot of twisting so far. So we're going to add a twist. What am I going to do here is that with the same leg that is in front, I'm going to lean a little forward. I have the wall as a helper for me. And I'm going to inhale, lift arm up. Beautiful, lengthen that side, And now we're going to bring that left elbow all the way over to the right so I can hook it outside my knee, okay? On purpose, I'm using the wall. So I'm actually going to use that wall that I have behind me, if you have it, to press there and have extra support so I can lift the belly and move the organs towards the right and create that action of the twist, lifting the abdomen and the chest. And like I'm doing, you can use that right hand to help you open up. Press the arm and the leg into one another. Keep lifting through the inner arch if you can. One more breath. My left foot is pushing into the wall, so I'm still working that back leg. And then slowly walk yourself back. Wow, this is intense. Good. Very slowly slide that knee out and sit back for a moment. Good. Before we go on to the second side, I just want to say, if you are doing this version of standing for the twist, you can just come to the, well, no, because you will have like a big wall to do it, right? But you can come into the chair pose, the Utkatasana, and create that twist here, okay? So we can go on to that as a variation. Now I'm going to put the opposite knee. So my right knee is going to go towards the baseboard. I'm trying to keep that right foot pointing up towards the ceiling. And then I'm going to bring my left foot forward like a lunge. And then from there, I'm going to have my support, if I need it, to be able to stand tall. I didn't say because we have a lot of props already, but this shape can be very well supported with a chair. Like if you have a chair in front of you, you could be holding the seat of the chair. I'm just saying for another time, or if you have it close by, okay? Now I'm going to try and keep that right knee as close as I can to the wall. I have my heel a touch outside my sitting bone in case I can bring those sitting bones to the wall. And then you're going to measure for yourself if it's possible to come a little closer to the wall, maybe choosing to put the hands onto your thigh, okay? So I'm trying to bring the sitting bones there and lengthen my sacrum down as I lift my abdomen up, okay? Relax the shoulders. Let's take a few breaths here. Lifting from the bottom up, lengthening that sacrum down, which in turn lifts from the bottom of the pelvic floor. One more breath. Good. Let's add the twist. Now I'm going to bring the right arm up, lengthen that side as much as you can. Beautiful. And then that right elbow lifting through the abdomen, also making space. I'm going to bring that right elbow to the left. And instead of hooking the hands like we do usually, I'm going to use my left hand onto the support if you have that wall there, so I can hook that elbow a little more, draw the belly up, and move it towards the left. Good. Trying to push arm into leg, leg into arm, shoulders back, lift the chest up, pressing to the left big toe. One more breath. Good. Then slowly take it back and slide that leg slowly. Sit back for a moment. We'll stretch this very soon. Just sitting back for a second because this is intense. Good. And then from there, take that blanket to the side if you have it to support, and we'll go into down dog to reopen our legs. If you have the baseboard and you want to use it, that's a very good idea. You can put again those heels pushing to the baseboard. If not, just a regular down dog with the heels down. Push through the hands, stretch the sides, bring the abdomen in, release the head. Bend the knees a little so there's no locking of the knees. Bend the knees, send the sitting bones up and back. Relax the head again, and then slowly re-extend the legs. Good, one more breath. Then slowly walk the hands into the feet. Good. And bring yourself a block or two again, so keep them with you. We are going to widen the feet as wide as your mat. If you want to use the wall like I'm doing a little bit because I'm back here, you can use it for support. And if you are, you can even peel your sitting bones or the flesh of your backbones up, so it helps you draw a little further down, and use the blocks for support here as you push into the base of your toes, lift the inner arches and release through the head. If you're not using much of the blocks for support, I really recommend using them as a support for the head. So you could put one over the other and have your brain relax into the blocks and open your hands a little wider, okay? Take a few breaths here. Lift into the inner arches. Feel the power of your quads. Pressing into the bones, lifting through the kneecaps, inner knees drawing up. Relaxing the neck and the head. And then slowly walking up. I'm super close to the wall, so I'm going to move a little bit. And from there, hands to the hips, pressing to the feet. Inhale and come all the way up. Ah, nice. Okay. We don't have a lot of time left, but we're going to work a little more. So keep one block with you. We are coming onto our mats, less props now. And with one block, we are going to take a supported bridge pose, okay? So we are going to create a little bit of more opening through the chest, coming down onto your back. You're going to use your block either flat or medium or the highest point if that feels okay for you. I'm going to go with the medium to show, and I'm going to lift my pelvis so I can put the block under the sacrum as low as you can onto the right under the coccyx. And then I'm going to press the feet down. I'm going to tuck my shoulder blades in, squeezing the shoulders down towards the end of my mat. And from there, I'm going to really try and drop the pelvis into that support, opening the chest. No need to move your head, and rest here for several breaths. If you feel the need, don't change much, but if you feel the need to go a little higher into a back bend and you want to create a bigger feeling of that opening in the chest, you could go or choose to go a little higher with your prop, right? And then create again that movement or the action of moving the shoulders away from the neck and opening through the collarbones a little bit more, maybe lacing the fingers behind the block or catching your mat. And if your lower back is okay, you could even choose to extend the legs. As you firm the hips in, draw the sacrum in, and bring the glutes into activation so they support the rest of the posture. Two more breaths. Then slowly, if your legs are extended, rebend them. Release the arms for a moment. I'm just going to modify my block because it's too tall for the legs up. So I'm going to bring it into a more stable level or height. And then from there, if you want again, you can catch the sides of your mat or just keep your hands down. And slowly, one knee at the time, we'll send one leg up and then the other coming into the inversion, like a shoulder stand, but it's a modification of that. And now we want to, again, imagine we have that belt like we did in the very beginning, and we are having the thighs together, but at the same time, the quads are breaking into that imaginary belt, okay? That will, again, create a lot of activation through the legs, into the heart, without locking the knees. But I'm lifting from the pelvis into the inner knees, inner shins, inner ankles, and further up towards the base of the toes. As we concentrate in this practice, we let go of perhaps ideas that we cling to, emotions, labels, and we understand that we are not just that, and that our essence, that is the everlasting truth, is what stays unchanged. Let's stay for 2 more breaths. Then slowly bend the knees, bring the feet to touch down, give yourself a moment after you land. Pressing into the feet, lift the pelvis slowly, bring that block or support out to the side. Stay there for a breath before adding more movement. Good, and then we are going to widen the feet to the edges of your mat. And from there, with the knees wide and the feet wide, let both knees drop to one side. And once you let the knees drop both to one side, you can, if you want, I'm going to show an example. Let's say that both your knees are to the left. If both knees are to the left, then your left foot can come on top of your right knee and you open the arms to the sides, okay? If not, it will be, of course, the opposite, both to the right and the right foot over the knees. So take first one side and take a few breaths there. Then slowly take that foot that is on top of the knee out first. Bring both knees towards neutral. Make sure that the feet are still wide to the edges of your mat before switching sides and going to the second side. And then if you choose, you can add that foot over the knee and stay there for a few breaths. Choosing to practice through the asanas, we connect with the self, cultivating feelings of patience, gentleness, kindness, the opportunity to dig deeper and connect to that true essence that is within our sacred heart. Good, then slowly take the foot that is on top of the knee out, bring both knees back towards the center, and put the soles of your feet together and bring them towards your chest. So it's like the Baddha Konasana or the Baddha Konasana or the butterfly shape, but we are doing it supine, and you hold your feet with your hands and you bring the feet into you and the knees are wide. That will help a lot with widening and releasing the lumbars, the lower back. So you can do that and feel how the back of your pelvis is spreading more into your mat as you breathe. Letting that breath flow naturally, easily, and in a fluid manner. Good. After one more breath like that, slowly release it. You can bring both knees if you want into the chest or take a happy baby pose before we move into Shavasana. From there, make your way into the corpse pose. Adding any support, perhaps a blanket rolled under your thighs, maybe a pillow for your head, maybe something to cover your eyes. And we move into rest, letting everything drop. Shavasana is our opportunity to surrender labels, physical body, mind, any thoughts that we may cling to, and gracefully we let go of all.